Welcome to Land Academy. I'm Jack Butala.
I'm Jill DeWit.
We show you how to buy real estate for half of what it's worth.
And sell it on the internet really fast.
We are Jack and Jill,
and this is the Jack and Jill Show 2.
With over 15,000 completed transactions, we're the experts at acquiring property.
Of all kinds, not just land.
For half price and flipping them for way more.
All right, let's get this show started.
Jack Butala with Jill DeWit.
Hello.
Welcome to our show today.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
In this episode, Jill and I talk about sending offers to owners for too much money. Well, I made a mistake in my offering. And what's going to happen next? Before we get into it, let's take a question posted by one of our members on the landacademy.com online community. It's free.
Okay. Pat asked this question. It's a good question. What is a deed of conveyance? The seller showed me his deed named Deed of Conveyance with no warranties expressed. Is this the same as a quitclaim deed? Awesome question. All right. Do you mind if I jump in, Pat? Or Pat? Jack? What's your name?
Who's that guy?
I know.
Who the hell is that guy in my life?
Do you mind if I go? All right. So.
You know what this reminds me of that story that one of our friends was telling us recently, that they sent their kid to school for the first time and they've been calling him Cutie for so long, he didn't even know his name was whatever.
Exactly.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah. Like there was some situation where he was running the wrong direction or something and everybody's calling him and he didn't turn around. And so they sent him home with a note taped, like pinned on him that said, your kid doesn't know his name. Because it's like, you know, they call him a nickname.
Yeah, like Cutie or something.
Or something like that. Or honey,
little.
Sweetie, whatever. Yeah. And he didn't know his name.
Why is this so funny?
I know, that's so funny. Because we've done that.
Because stuff like that can happen so easy.
You know, with our number 1, number 2, number 3, we even like as we're talking and they're sitting right there, well, ask number 3. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, so number 3, if I said, hey, number 3, I bet he would turn around.
For sure know that.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's really good.
Anyway.
Okay, so back to the question. So I looked up I want to give the real definition here too.
Versus the stuff that we usually talk about in this show.
Exactly. So I'm going to really kind of keep it to business here today. So, all right. So the definition of a deed of conveyance is a signed legal document that shows a title or deed has been transferred.
It's a proof of ownership document.
Yep. It's used to prove ownership in a piece of property. And the interesting thing is, just like a real deed, a deed of conveyance is signed, witnessed, and notarized by the seller and the buyer, as well as anyone with a vested interest in the property being transferred. So it's like a second copy of the real deed. Like maybe the person was for tax purposes, or, you know, maybe they're working on a loan or something. I don't know. They had to prove ownership and come up with a supporting document to prove ownership in a property. Instead of going and get the real deed, they just went and had signed a deed of conveyance showing that here's proof that I am an owner or I do own this asset, however it is. So
doesn't that seem redundant to you?
It does. So for whatever reason, they couldn't get their hands on the original one, and that's okay.
I mean, there's a few reasons that could happen. It was destroyed. Let's say there's a fire at the county, you know, and we need to, there's no more proof of this document at all. Is that likely? No. This whole thing makes me this is a red flag for me.
This is very true. Well, and the question is it the same as a quitclaim deed? And the answer is no.
No, it's not.
Because a quitclaim deed
is a deed.
Really does transfer ownership.
It conveys.
That's the thing. A deed of conveyance does not convey or change anything at all. It is basically a duplicate.
It's proof of ownership
of whatever the original deed was. And it doesn't have to say on there, it was a quitclaim deed how we got here, or it was a special warranty deed how we got here, or a grant deed. It doesn't say any of that. It's just proving that a deed of conveyance did happen at one time, and I'm either a buyer or a seller, whatever. So, and like you said, Jack, why is this person running around with just this deed of conveyance? Okay, I get it. I'm going to do my homework, and it may all be legitimate, and they lost it, and maybe Dad had it in his safe, and who knows where it went. That's okay.
A real quick look up on RealQuest or Title Pro,
and you'll have the answer. You'll do that. So, but great question. And it's one of these things that, like for Pat, now you will always know what that is.
I will never forget it personally. Yeah. Full disclosure, Jill and I, before the show, we had to look this up.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't ever see those.
I've never seen it.
Mm-hmm.
I never heard of it.
Exactly.
And that's pretty unusual.
Exactly. Most people are carrying around the real deed. They still have it, or a copy.
Or a copy of it.
Yeah, they've got something, or they have nothing, and I go get a copy of it, and that's okay. By the way, I want to make one little point here. When you're buying a property from someone, they do not have to produce that original document to you or have you see it. So if you're buying a property from Mr. Smith and he doesn't even know where the deed is, that's okay. Yeah. You don't have to have it. You don't ever have to see it. It's not like a pink slip where you have to have the real deal when you're doing the car.
Yeah, that's right.
So this is something I don't think we've talked about before.
Where does pink slip come from?
Yeah,
I'm a car guy.
Got to be used. It used to be pink, wasn't it? It used to be in triplicate. I really think that there was white, yellow, pink.
I've never
Seriously,
seen it.
Years ago, it was in triplicate, the old way
With
that you would
carbon
write
copies.
with carbon, and the
Jill.
pink one is the one that you kept around in your car.
I've always wondered that.
Thank you.
Well, that's what I learned. I learned 2 things on our show today.
Here's the reason you have me around.
Jill's wearing like street clothes.
Street clothes.
Like a
What's
baseball.
That?
This is what Jill's.
Oh,
wearing, right?
sounds like I was.
This is what Jill's. Oh no, not like that.
Okay.
Not like streetwalker.
Hello.
Clothes, no.
What the heck?
No, like jeans and a jersey that a baseball player would practice in, but she's got diamonds all over herself.
Oh.
It's pretty funny, actually. I should take a picture.
That's why you were saying that earlier. Thank you.
Big
And I have
diamonds.
a hat on.
Yeah, baseball hat.
That's right. Thank you. So good question, and I'm glad you asked that.
Excuse me. If you have a question or you want to be on the show, reach out to either one of us on landacademy.com. Today's topic: sending offers to owners for too much money. You misvalued the property that you wanted to purchase, and you got 700 million offers back. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? We'll talk about it in a second. This is the meat of the show. What do you think, Jill? Good, good or bad?
I thought it was kind of funny because I'm like, you could read this title and go, "Am I supposed to do that this way?" No, we're not promoting it. You want to send offers to owners for too much.
Yeah, so we're in the business of buying property for less and then selling it for more. Buy low, sell high.
Does this happen sometimes? Let's just think about this. You're starting out. This is all new to you. Are you going to make a mistake or two on your first couple mailers?
Yep.
Heck yeah. Have we done that?
Oh,
Heck
my gosh,
yeah.
yes.
Have we overpriced? Heck yeah. Have we really underpriced? Heck yeah. And that's going to, and especially if you're doing that many at a time and you're doing it right, you're not looking at each individual asset. You're doing a batch. You're doing all these 5-acre properties. You sorted it to the best, and now your offers are out there, and then you're going to field them. So is it a bad thing? I don't think so.
It's a good, healthy, honest mistake. And 9 times out of 10, when something like this happens, you can salvage at least 1 or 2 deals out of it. Mm-hmm. You want to be real careful about it, but you can salvage some stuff.
You're going to get a lot of signed offers back, which is going to be, you know what? You get a lot of signed offers back. Okay, that's great. Because you know what? You still smoked out who's interested in selling. Now.
Jill.
Oh.
I went into the show not even thinking about that. I know what you're going to say. Go ahead. I love this.
Yeah.
This is brilliant.
Now.
This is brilliant.
I have this captive audience of people that are actually considering this now. That's because there's plenty of people out there that it doesn't matter what price you offer them, they don't want to sell. That's their cabin, it's their family property, it's not their thing. You're not going to hear from them. But now you just smoked out people who are interested in selling. Now it's how you handle it from this point forward. Do you want to call them back and negotiate it? Do you want to send them another offer? Based on your further review and that, and then smoke them out one more time, because your response rate now is going to be your strike rate is going to be pretty darn high.
Oh, it's going to be crazy high. Uh-huh. It's going to be 50%.
This could be a tactic for somebody.
I know.
Now I was
just thinking the same thing. But you don't want to do dishonest stuff and sneaky stuff. But
right,
to salvage an honest mistake, that's not sneaky.
Right.
If you did it the next time with intent,
right.
I wonder about that. But
what would I personally do? You want to know?
Yeah.
I'd line them all up. I'd put them all in order and do my homework here on, I'm staring at 100. I would put them all in order and start doing my due diligence on them. And the ones I really like, I'm going to call them back and we're going to make a joke out of it, a little bit, but with respect.
By the way, each person who gets an offer, the way that we send it, they think that they're the only one who got an offer.
Right.
They don't know there's 99 other people who Jill's going to call later that day. They just think, we want the way it's worded, we want to buy that property.
Right. I sought you
and
out.
Only yours.
Right. So I'm going to call them back and say, hey, you know what? In a nice way, after doing my homework, I goofed. And here's what I'd like to do. I appreciate your replying back, and I appreciate your interest in selling the property. I'm prepared to do this, and boy, I'll have a check to you on Tuesday. and leave it at that. You don't have to go into more information. What you want to do in these situations is where I come in and talking to the people. State it and don't breathe. I mean, just don't say a word. Don't say, I goofed. I've done my homework now. I am still interested in your property. I apologize on that price. I'm really prepared to spend X, and everything else is the same. I will have a cashier's check to you and a notary on Tuesday. Does that work for you? And then let them think about it.
I love it.
And if they need to think about it, I have no problem too in this situation. If they say, oh shucks, my wife and I are really counting on this, and I was really looking at that. I said, you know what? I get it, and I apologize. Why don't you guys think about it? Give me a call tomorrow. Sleep on it, and like I said, I'll have a cashier's check you. I'm not messing around, and we'll do it.
Exactly.
And
it's so interesting.
You'll have a different response. Yeah.
I wrote the title to this, and it's so interesting that Jill came at that the way that she just did, because that's really not what the show was. I thought this was going to be about. But no, seriously. I mean, you really get two for the price of one. So now I'm going to cover it how I would cover it, but. Man, it didn't even cross my mind, and I think that's perfectly okay what you said.
Thank you.
And I think a bunch of deals are going to come out of it.
Yeah, you still might get some stuff. Okay, I want to hear what you originally intended. So thanks, Jack.
I was going to explain how and why this can happen from a data standpoint and a data scrubbing standpoint, and I'll apologize in advance if this is so boring you just want to die. Let's say you're going to send a mailer out or an offer campaign out to all the owners of a 5-acre property in a given county. I don't know. It's Latimer County, Oklahoma. I'm just throwing one out. I don't know. So you look at it, and there's a lot of properties, right? Maybe one end of the county is really flat, like prairie and plains. Maybe one's really heavily wooded with rolling hills, and it's beautiful. So they're priced really differently. Well, how the hell do you find out? How do you make different prices? So what we use is called an index map. At some point, at various geographic points throughout this county, there are certain predictable groups of APN numbers, assessor's parcel numbers. So, and they all start with, let's say, there's an area of 100, there's an area of 103, 107, 108, 109, and that's the first part of the APN number in a very long string of numbers. Is this clear so far? Mm-hmm. If you send out the exact same dollar amount to every single one of these APN schemes or these APN data sets, you're going to end up offering too little in one area and too much in another area. So this is advanced data scrubbing. So you want to really take a look at an index map that outlines the geographic boundaries of a county and see where APN scheme 103 ends and where it starts, where 104 ends and starts, and price it accordingly. Do different types of research all over the internet for pricing. Mm-hmm. So that's advanced. That's one of the reasons. And all this stuff gets discussed in an incredible amount of detail. Not discussed, but we show you how to do it. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's so important to have a good data set and get real good, fresh data, because you're just wasting your time if you're buying substandard data.
Exactly.
That's probably what happened here. And again, Jill's nailed it. Don't worry. Mm-hmm. Stuff happens. And if I'm making it sound complicated, it's really not.
Right.
Here's what you do. So it's all in a spreadsheet. Let's say there's 10,000 properties. If the APN scheme is 101, you decide it's $500 for a 5-acre property there. Then you just put in the slot, you put 500. For the next set at 102, you put 1,000. For 108, that's in the city. We don't even want to send that at all. Mm-hmm. We're not buying city property this time. Mm-hmm. 113, that looks like it's worth a lot more, 2,500.
What's so interesting? I hear people that have poor results doing this because they think that by just getting a list of all the ownership data, all the ownership information, and all the 5-acre parcels in XYZ county, that they could just blindly send them out. And if it doesn't come back with a response, they're like, oh, well, this doesn't work. Because there's more to it than just that.
Do people do that?
Yeah, I'm sure. I know they do.
That hasn't gotten to me.
Yeah.
That specific, that's a waste of postage.
I know. And no, that's my whole thing. I've had so many people come to me and go, this doesn't work. I tried it. Well, what
really?
about...
They say this doesn't work like that?
Well, not necessarily like, okay, I read it in other groups and things like that. It's like, some of it's in bigger pockets. It's like people are spreading, they think it's a no-brainer. All I gotta do is get the data and hit all the 5-acre people and throw them this offer, right? No,
Yeah.
hang on a
I
moment.
see
There's a
what
little
you're
more
saying.
to it.
In bigger pockets, yeah. I mean, I've
So-
never heard a group, our group
No,
members
not
ever
our. Oh, not our group.
say it
Not our
doesn't work.
people. No, I apologize. It's people who are trying to understand this concept and do this and send offers. They don't realize that there's some research that goes into it, like you just said. You know, if you really want to do this right and have a really good, high strike percentage and good stuff coming back, then you're going to spend a little more time, like you just described, Jack, and be methodical. And it's not crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't take that much time anyway. Here's some comforting points. Once you do one, and you figure out the kinks, just like anything. The first time you kiss a girl, you're going to get better at it the more you do it. This is the same thing. This is the good news, and this is part of it. We don't talk about this enough. When you get data from a real source, when you're accessing a database, not a list, it's in the exact same format for every single county. So once you learn how to do it for one county, you've learned how to do it for every county in the country.
Excuse me, through our data.
Through
So,
request.
yeah, okay,
Request
yeah.
Pro.
Because not every county is the same.
If you're getting
automatically.
if you're getting it directly from the county, the data, it's all different every single county. It takes
Right.
hours, sometimes days to figure it out.
Sometimes weeks. I've heard
Yeah.
people have weeks.
So do it once, do it right, learn how to do it right, pay for the data. It's not that much more expensive than the stupid, silly, cheap stuff on the internet, and it's gonna be fine. Mm-hmm. I've done exactly what this person is, where this question came from, and the next time you do it, you really learn the right way.
Exactly.
What's worse, is doing it for way too low, and you just get a bunch of really angry people calling you for weeks.
I know.
So too high is better than too low.
Too high is better than too low, but can you still recover from too low?
Yeah, because you always get something signed.
I know.
Some people make that their business model.
You know what? That's the funniest thing too, because there's some that
They're just
we've
bulletproof.
gone back and I went, "What the heck?"
I've made huge mistakes.
They agreed to that. Whoops.
I've purchased property by making a massive mistake, like sending it to all urban properties instead of rural, and it still gets done.
Well, it's a common thing with our community too. Our members, we kind of laugh about it now, but they say, "Yeah, that guy called me out. He was all upset." And then I said, "I'm so sorry. Thank you. Have a nice day." The guy's like saying, "Well, Dave, don't hang up.
Wait a minute.
Hold on a moment. That doesn't mean I don't want to sell. I just want, and then we talk about it.
And then you
And then they all laugh.
appropriately price it, so
Yeah.
you're still making some money.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant
get the
this.
deal done.
Or what would it do? Yeah. Okay, there we go. It's okay.
There's no such thing as negative attention in this business.
Join us in another episode where Jack and I discuss how to use information, that's
me.
Jack,
And inspiration, that's Jill.
to get just about anything you want.
We use it every day to buy property for half of what it's worth and sell it immediately.
You are not alone in your mailer offer real estate ambition.
It was a good show. It was out of the main
I think it's a great
mainstream of what we kind of talk about, recording deeds and stuff.
It's a lot of good information.
Yeah.
So much good information. I think that we probably helped a lot of people with that one, and I'm glad.
Information and inspiration to buy undervalued property.
We are Jack and Jill, and this was the Cash Flow from Land Show.
We are the experts at acquiring property
Of all kinds, not just land,
for half price just so we can flip it for way more.
and really fast. Thanks for listening.
You are not alone in your real estate ambition.